ਓਕੇ ਜੀ, ਇਹ ਵੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡਿਸਕਲੇਮਰ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ। ਟੇਲਰ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਮਾਈ ਬੈਸਟ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ। ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਬਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਅਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੀ ਥਿੰਕਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਵੋਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ। ਅਤੇ ਬਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ, ਅਤੇ ਅਗਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋਣੇ ਸੀ। ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੀ ਚੈਨਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਅਤੇ ਕੁਛ ਵਾਰਤਾਲਾਪ ਜਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਵਾਰਤਾਲਾਪ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਸੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਪੋਸੀਬਿਲਿਟੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦੀਆਂ। ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰੂਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਨਗੀਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਗੀਆਂ। ਸੇਮ ਵਿਦ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਡਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਬਟ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਡਰਨ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗਾਇਬ ਕਰ ਦੇਗੀ ਜਾਂ ਖ਼ਤਮ ਕਰੇਗੀ, ਅਤੇ ਆਰਟੀਫਿਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਆਪ ਕੀ ਕਰੇਗੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਗੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਮਤਲਬ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੱਚ ਕੀਤੇ, ਬੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਹਨੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਵਗੈਰਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ। ਅਤੇ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੋਡਕਾਸਟ ਸੁਣਨੇ ਪਸੰਦ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਪਫੁਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਇੰਜੋਏ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ। ਦਿਸ ਥਿੰਗ ਆਈ ਸਮਟਾਈਮਸ ਥਿੰਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ, ਲਾਈਕ ਵਾਈ some of the buildings are haunted, because something happened in that building. The memory was so strong, the memory stayed. And when a new person moves in and the memory was still there, and they're like, oh, this house is haunted. Or maybe that's the feeling of the person who already had left. The traumatic experience stayed in the house, and that became the memory or the ghost of that person. You think that makes any sense?
So back to your question about why that is, like why did you think of Justin and then get a call from him? Why did I think of my old workmate and then find out he died? If I had to guess, I reckon it's because like it'd be something to do with time, not necessarily like we think being linear or like, you know, past, present, future. Like I reckon time could be more just like not a straight line. You know, we think of time as like timeline. We use the word timeline, or you know, so you start, you know, in the past.
Yeah.
You move to like the present, which is right now, and then you go forward to the future.
Just one direction. Oh,
one direction.
One direction.
But what if time isn't like that? Like it's more circular, or it's more, I don't know what shape you'd describe it. Let's just say it's more circular. So for instance, in your case, you think that, you know, you were thinking of Justin and then time went by and then he called. But what if, no, like in like a weird way, Justin calling you and when you thought of him was like at the same time, or...
Yeah, it kind of making sense. Probably different dimensions kind of like overlapped.
Yeah.
You know? And I can visualize it in my head. Like I'm seeing like one direction and then there is overlap. There was this Michio Kaku.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's the man.
And he explained kind of similar thing, like electrons can be not at just one place, but at multiple. Same electron can be at multiple places at one point of time. For example, we are talking. These electrons gonna go on YouTube and go to like different houses. For example, radio live stream. One person talking. That electron is at different places at one point of time. So time can be kind of similar, like overlapping. I know a bit complicated, but I can actually visualize it in my head.
Yeah, like I'm just not equipped to explain it well, but like I think my theory is that I kind of been thinking a little bit about this. Like, yeah, time, it's not like a linear, like a, you know, point A to point B linear moving thing. I think it's somehow like it's circular, or kind of it turns back on itself, or it's not. Yeah, I'm not sure how the best to describe that, but what you're talking about, the electron thing, is quite interesting. I've heard of that, but then there's something else interesting about electrons. It's that if they put like two electrons together and they can't, you know, like electrons are very much like they measure them on like their charge and spin, and those are the characteristics that physicists measure electrons. They can put like two electrons together and they give them like the same charge and the same spin direction, and then I don't know how they do this, but like they separate them. They can somehow separate electrons by like huge distances. And then electron 1, if they change the charge or change the spin, even though there's like miles between electron 1 and electron 2, magically, so to speak, electron 2 takes on the same spin or the same charge as that they give to electron 1. It's like they're always joined. It's like no matter, and they hypothesize that even if they could somehow distribute them to the other side of like the known universe and they change the spin or whatever direction of one, it would happen to the other one.
Damn. What are the practical uses of this hypothesis, or was it a thesis, or practically that happens, right?
I think it's proven. I think it's
proven, right?
not a hypothesis, it's like proven in experiments.
What can be the practical use of it? I can, like I mentioned, the radio thing. That is one. Like if I say, everybody's hearing probably on YouTube or wherever they're listening, like the same electron, you know? What other practical uses you reckon it can have? Like time machine something or something like that?
Teleportation.
Oh yeah, teleportation is one.
Like, because that's a thought. Like, okay, so say teleportation, like somehow I'm made up of a whole bunch of atoms and electrons and protons and stuff. It's like, all right, if we could somehow break all the atoms and electrons down that are making me up right now, somehow split them down, but then somehow through that thing that we were just talking about, like a bunch of electrons and atoms on the other side of the universe, if you could somehow direct them to reassemble to make me, like break down my physical electrons right here, right now, but then electrons on the other side on Mars or something, if they could somehow direct the information and be like, all right, reassemble Taylor on Mars, could I just appear magically on Mars and I'd still be here? I'm conscious, I'm alive, I'm, the same living, breathing thing.
Yeah. It is, I think, theoretically possible. I was listening to this Netflix series. It was around infinity. They kind of theoretically said, like, for example, you take a vacuum box and you put an apple in that vacuum box and you leave that box just unopened, right? So what's going to happen? The apple is going to get destroyed. And if it stay there for millions of years, and it is just energy, and it's going to reassemble itself in the box.
Interesting.
So it's like energy, if you lock it, and it has no other way to go.
Yeah.
So in million years, that apple is going to reassemble.
Yeah.
So probably same thing is happening on Earth. Just we are destroying ourselves and reassembling.
Yeah.
Destroying ourselves, or same thing with the universe or something.
Yeah.
So I think we are probably really, really new with this science, and probably with our biological bodies, like you said, teleportation is not going to happen because you have to actually destroy electrons first. You have to destroy atoms.
Yeah.
And the process is going to be really painful for us. I think when we upgrade our bodies, not a biological body, probably some other synthetical body or something. I think when we have those new bodies, then we can easily do teleportation. But the thing is, the new Taylor which emerged in Mars, is it going to be the same Taylor or a replica of Taylor?
Yeah.
So that's going to be the problem, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And like, this always scares me a little bit about what we're talking about, like quantum physics and stuff. So there's like a model, so there's like, I think they call it like the standard model of particle physics. So basically that like particle physics is breaking everything down to its like smaller and smaller components. So obviously we got like cells, and these cells are made up of molecules, and then those molecules are made up of atoms, and then atoms are made up of like protons and electrons and neutrons, and then they break those down. And there's things called quarks. So quarks are like a smaller molecule again, which make up atoms and, electrons and things. And then I think they even broke them down further. But so right now, like, as far as I know, all of like quantum physics and particle physics is based on the standard model. They call it like the standard model of particle physics. And pretty much every scientist knows that like, it's wrong. Like, it's not right. It's incomplete. It's missing. There's so many gaps in it. There's so many things that are like, don't add up. we don't know everything about all these like particles which make up the known universe. It's just basically, it's like a theory that they're working with, but they know it's wrong. Like they know it's not complete. And it's kind of scary. It's like, this is kind of like, this is like the whole fundamental layer of the universe, like the base layer, like the core of like everything is based on these little particles. And like, the best scientists in the world are like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Kind of scary.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is quantum computer. This earth, our universe, or whatever we see tangible or whatever we see touchable or imaginable is quantum computer. Because I was reading about quantum computer. The simplest thing, how we explain quantum computer is, how we have our computers now. And we actually perform the practical outside and we enter the data from that practical, from that practice or exercise, and we actually feed in the data through our fingers in the computer. And computer performs just kind of calculations for us. Everything is calculation in the computer. If you, for example, generating an AI image, you have to enter your data and it'll do calculation for you. So difference between that computer and the quantum computer is you have to just command quantum computer, okay, run simulation. For example, run simulation of how we can get immortality. So quantum computer would actually run realistic simulation within and give you the answer. So once we have a quantum computer, it would actually simulate that practical exercise in the computer. So we don't have to do anything. All the lab's going to be redundant. All the chemistry is going to be redundant outside. Computer will perform that thing for you. And don't you think the whole thing, the earth, is actually a quantum computer? Because it's actually performing everything for you. Have you seen this new Black Mirror episode? The new series came out on Netflix.
Oh, I haven't seen the new one. But I've seen all the old ones, like my favorite show.
The old ones are good. The new ones is just shit. It's just literally shit. But the one episode which grabbed my attention, this girl was living and all of a sudden she sees her life is on Netflix. Whatever she does in her life, it just ends up on Netflix. She's like, everybody can see my life. And she was so pissed. And she goes to Netflix HQ, headquarters, right? She goes there and she realizes they actually have a quantum computer. And she's like, I'm going to destroy this quantum computer. The guy says, oh, don't destroy that quantum computer. Your life's going to get destroyed. She was like, how? He was like, you are not the main character. You are just a simulation within a quantum computer. So as she breaks the quantum computer, the actual earth shakes. So she was actually a simulation. So sometimes I feel like the simulation theory, kind of similar.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, are we real or not real?
Yeah.
Or we are living in a quantum computer.
Yeah.
But this is so intricate, and we can actually touch things, we can feel things. So is it life like normal? First, I used to think like maybe it's a video game. But now as quantum computers are becoming more practical, or the way they are developing it, it feels more and more realistic now, or believable now, that we are within a simulation.
Just a thought that came to me. How crazy would this be? So what you're proposing, are we already living in a quantum computer, in a simulation within a quantum computer?
Yeah.
What if one day the way we find out yes or no is we ask a quantum computer? Imagine literally like typing into a quantum computer, are we in a quantum computer? And it's just like, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
that would be so freaky.
that would be so freaky.
Yeah.
What kind of like scares me a bit is like, we all know, like without a doubt, that there's no denying that AI is going to just like transform humanity as we know it. Like it's just going to shake things up and drop them on our head.
Yeah.
Quantum computing is going to do the same. It's going to shake things up, drop them on the head, just having all this computational power at the press of a button. When those two come together, fuck.
Yeah.
What does that mean, eh?
Yeah. I think it's just gonna multiply humanity. multiply humanity's thinking power. That's what I feel like. And we have to somehow embed ourselves with the technology. Like we have to. First, I do not think, you know how people are scared of AI and quantum computer. I do not think that's going to happen.
So like, you know, like kind of the classic argument like, oh, Terminator or, you know, some kind of...
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Reason being, okay, so we have 5 senses, we have bodies, and we have evolved because we needed greed, kind of. This is my theory. We needed greed to develop in the world. Like, I want more. I want to be better than that guy. I want to be the leader of the tribe. All the bad things, all the jealousy comes from this. And this is the drive we have. And that's how we evolve. And that's how we get rid of the weaklings. This is really important for us. And that's why we have the jealousy or whatever, right? Okay. But AI or computer shouldn't be jealous of anybody, I guess. Like, they're already there. They don't have any competition.
Yeah.
Like, why would they be killing humans? You know, they just exist. The only thing is if we give them a wrong command.
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, if you think about prayers, you pray to the Lord, you know, and everybody has their own way of praying. Like, some people perform sacrifices, and some people just on their knees pray to the God, be humble. But how do you explain that to AI or computer? Okay, if you just randomly command, okay, computer, pray for me, and all of a sudden it just picks up somebody, some kind of prayer which requires some kind of sacrifice. It's gonna run with that, you know, and it's gonna kill a lot of humans in the way.
Yeah. So I think with AI, there's going to be like a point. So basically, we're developing AI right now. Like, you know, AI is not a threat to anyone. Like, it's still very early stages. You know, all these companies are still developing AIs. I reckon that it's going to come into a phase of AI's existence where it could be dangerous. And what I mean by that is, so when it starts getting to the point where it's getting really advanced, but it's still very much centered around what people program into it. So basically, there's going to come a point where AI, you know, someone like the American government could be like, all right, AI, stop China's, you know, military growth at all costs, or vice versa. China could be like, stop the US's military growth at all costs, or stop the economic growth at all costs. And basically, that's like a period of time when AI could be weaponized. But I think there's a kind of an end date on that, because after that point, I think we're going to move to a time when AI, it no longer needs human codes or human prompts. Basically, it's going to get to a point where it's like it can start altering its own code, or it can start editing its own code. And rather than, you know, me or you or whoever sitting at a computer being like, do this, this, and this, and AI can be like, no, actually, I'm going to do this, this, and this, because this is, more, you know.
But it has to have a central goal, kind of. For example, it's going to write its own code based on what? Am I stopping China? Is that going to be the end goal of it? So is it going to find more efficient way of stopping China or stopping US? It has to have a central goal still. Or do you think it's going to be just independent without any goal?
I think it's going to get past human goals. I think right now we can, well, like, you know, there's going to come a time when we're going to be plugging in goals. So like whatever that is, you know, like fly rockets to the moon, stop China, do X, Y, do this and that. But I think it's going to get to a point where it kind of moves past human goals, and it's almost like it can almost do what it wants, and it can program its own goals.
That's the thing I was talking about. Do what it wants. Because AI has not evolved. AI does not have greed or jealousy like we do. Okay? I want the next best version of iPhone. That's my goal. Every time a new technology comes in, I want that. In order to do that, what do I have to do? I have to work, right? At work, I want the toppest rank to get more money. So what do? I perform better at my job, and I also involve myself in office politics. How I can get rid of the top guy so I can get that job. I'm doing all that. So end goal is I get something nicer for myself. So all that is emerged within because of greed, jealousy, because we want to be the top dog. But if the evolution is not there for the computer or for the AI, it will lack that central goal, the main goal, which we have. Yes, while we are weaponizing AI or computer, yes, it's going to do stupid things. Like I said, the problem is going to be with the command we give to computer. But once it's independent, it's not going to think at all, you reckon? Like, what would it want to be doing? For example, like you said, yes, stop China. Maybe it will look for more efficient ways. Okay, Gagan, you're wrong. I will stop China, but not your way, because I have an efficient way of stopping China.
Yeah.
Maybe in that regard, it would not listen to me, because the end goal is stop China, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think if you remove that goal of stopping China, it has nothing to do. This is what I feel like. That's why I always feel computers or AI, they are not dangerous for us.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually. Like what if, say we didn't exist, say we built this amazing AI and then humanity just died. Say we got like wiped out by like a disease or something, and AI was just sitting there. Everything functions, all its servers function, all its electricity grids still work. What would it do? Like if there was nothing to do, nothing like for it to do, what would it do?
Yeah.
Would it do anything, or would it just sit there dormant until it eventually rusts out and dies?
Yeah. So it has to have a goal. And the problem is how we assign that goal to it. We have to be careful. Simplest example is go out of the room. That's your goal. And I'll lock all the doors. It'll break the wall because it has to go out of the door. That's computer's command. So problem is how you command it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be careful. You have to be like how we are commanding inside of generate this image for me. How we command it is the problem.
Yeah.
The rest is fine, I guess.
And I guess what could be, a danger is that, let's be honest, who's going to, when this kind of powerful, sentient AI does come online and it does activate and it's, the technology's there and it's able to do things serious, who's going to have it? Let's be honest. It's going to be China's military, United States military. Yeah, probably one of those two. I don't know, maybe Russia, I don't know. But the big Western first world countries, it's going to be their militaries because that's just who's got the budget. Like I can guarantee you no one's pumping as much money into AI development as China's military and the US's military, without a doubt. So they're going to be the first people to have it. So, I mean, what are they going to do with it? Like,
I think they already have it. If we are a simple human is using these advanced tools in our computers, now imagine what China or India or US is using in their secret labs. They have, I think they are way advanced than us. And again, I don't think any government is going to unleash something bad on a different. They all have their political agendas.
Yeah.
But end of the day, they want to just live in peace, I guess.
But I mean, put it like this: like, let's be honest, COVID. If COVID was, brewed up in a lab, which is a pretty likely possibility, it got out of the lab accidentally, maybe. But like, the point being, it got out of like a highly restrained biological facility. What's to say an AI couldn't escape its, computational, prison and get out into the world?
I think if it wanted to, like everything is connected. Like I've seen, for example, me speaking or doing commands to my phone, like look up this, and all of a sudden my computer or my TV has similar ads because my Google account is connected. Simplest thing, right? If I put in the same Google account in my work's computer, the same ad is going to pop up. And this is like simplest example, right? And cracking a Google emails password is not a biggie, right? If somebody wanted to crack into or hack into my account, they can. Simplest passwords. If AI, which is really advanced, if they want to just jump from one computer to another, they easily can. I think if AI wanted to, they can. If somebody commands it to. But by itself, it won't. I am a big believer in this, that AI has to have a goal. Why would it go out without a goal? If there is no goal, AI won't do shit. Like it's not creating images for you in your computer. You have to command it. You command whatever you want. It'll do it for you. But it won't do it by itself. It just kind of paradoxical. Or what is the point? It has to have a point. When you give it a point, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. It's like if it just existed in a vacuum and some state of the art AI existed in a vacuum, what would it do?
Yeah.
And that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I am, like I said, I'm a tech lover, but I am struggling these days in the sense I'm a big lover of analog watches. I love watches. So I've been looking for a watch. It's been a while. It's almost been a year. A really nice diver watch. And I saw one. It was a Seiko watch. And I also was looking for an Omega. And I feel like I have similar watch. Why invest in something expensive? Same function, blah, 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 blah. And then on the second thought, if I'm spending that much money, why don't you invest in an Apple Watch? So with the Apple Watch, you have set targets. You can do, you can set, I have to do this many steps, right? And it can actually, you can become a slave to an Apple Watch or smartwatch, which I want to do. So I do not stop. I keep on moving. I keep burning calories and I have my abs. I keep my abs on. But the problem is with that tech, every 18 months, any digital thing becomes old every 18 months because technology doubles every 18 months. So if I buy an Apple Watch today, in 4 to 5 years, it's going to be gone. I have to invest in a new Apple Watch. So this watch I had from last 4 years, and I can keep it for probably another 10, 20 years. It's never going to get outdated. But with digital watches, every 5, 6 years, you have to make it redundant because it's outdated. So tell me, Taylor, what do I do? Do I invest in a digital smartwatch or do I buy a normal watch?
Nah, fuck smartwatches. I was in a shop that sells like old clocks. You know what a grandfather clock is?
Like cuckoo.
Kinda, but like, you know those big tall clocks?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like at like haunted houses and stuff.
Yeah,
and like dong dong. Yeah, I was
dong.
Yeah, I was in one of those shops, and like I don't know, there's something like so cool about those old clocks, and it's kind of the same with watches. Like when you see all like the moving parts and stuff. I don't know. There's just something, even though it's like old technology and like there's no purpose to them, like apart from looking cool in your house. But I don't know, there's just still something that still appeals about some of that old technology that I think is really cool. And like I think the thing with Apple Watches that I've seen anyway, it's just like you're just even more connected to the grid, like to the game. Like, you know, you get text to your watch, you get calls to your watch. So I don't know, I like to put my phone down and just not have anything on me. But like, I don't know, you're trying to sit there peacefully and next thing like, you know, something starts ringing on your wrist.
Yeah, I hate that fact that it does happen. If I do get a smartwatch, which I'm thinking I'm 90% there. I'm just waiting for Apple's new event. So they might release a new Apple Watch Ultra. So the thing is, I'm just getting future-proof kind of. I can buy a watch now, which is going to be a year old already, or I wait for another month and get the latest model. So I think I was also thinking a Garmin watch. You barely get a text. It just solely focused on fitness. And the reason I want to have is just fitness. Because I'm just lifting weights, but I do not know how my heart's condition is if I'm entering any V2 zone or not. I just want to calculate myself and I want to set a goal. And my OCD is really bad. You know, you can set up rings on Apple Watches. Like you have to finish your ring every day. For example, I have not done enough workout by end of the day and my ring is incomplete. I'm so psycho. Even if I have to run outside before I go to bed, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So that's how they say like you can become a slave to your smartwatch, which I want to do on fitness side of things. Yeah. So I have to like I have to complete my ring. I have to complete my ring.
Yeah.
I think as I'm progressing in age, metabolism has gone down. And sometimes I barely eat. Like, oh, I'm going to shred some weight if I don't eat. But fuck. Like slowly I feel like my tummy is coming out and I have to work extra to have those like shape 6 abs, which I don't have these days.
It's kind of funny how like abs are like, obviously like it's like the status of being in shape. Like, oh, he's got abs. He's definitely in shape. But like evolutionarily, that's not a word.
Yeah.
Evolutionary. You know, a sign of abs is not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
You want fat. You want like fat hanging on there because that's energy, that's calories, that's storage, that's survival, that's warmth. There's all these things. But it's like, yeah, that's not good in today's society.
I think when the belly used to be a good sign, for example, back in probably few hundred years or 200 years, when you had to hunt your animal and then eat. And if at that point of time you were fat, that means either you are a king, you're barely moving, you're really wealthy, you're barely moving, and you are getting your meat through your servants, or you were so good at hunting. For example, Vikings, they were like huge and they would eat and they would hunt probably they were they performed cannibalism as well, maybe. So that means they are fed well, right? And at that point of time, if you had abs, that means either you are a slave, right? Or you are a farm worker.
Poor.
You're really poor because you're not eating well. But these days, the reason it's upside down, because food is available in supermarket, right? And if you want to eat, you can eat probably in $10. You can have the cheapest shit. And you can fill yourself. And if you're eating and you're not burning calories, that means you're not hardworking now.
Because I think back in the olden days, it was hard to get fat.
Olden days.
Olden days?
Olden days.
Yeah, olden days.
It's like old English word.
Yeah. Back in the olden days.
Olden days, yeah.
But I think back then, it was hard to get fat. You had to like either be in a really good, you know, family financial position, or you had to be an amazing hunter. You had to be good at something, or you had to be born into it to get fat. But these days, it's almost like it's hard to be skinny in today's society.
It's really hard to be skinny, man.
When you got like McDonald's and Pizza Hut on every corner and like...
Yeah, and one of the problem is, I was reading about this, like our nutrition has gone down really badly. Like nutritious food. And if you go back like 50, 60 years... now the nutrition you get is 1/8 of what you used to get like 60, 70 years back. Because all the seeds are genetically created, kind of. Like they have taken out a lot of the essential stuff from your seeds to make the plant a bit bigger, right? So even if you keep on eating a lot of calories, it does not have essential minerals, vitamins. That's why the industry of like pharma industry, you have to buy different vitamin C's, vitamin D's, zinc, magnesium, because you're not getting that from your food.
Yeah.
So you can keep on eating and still miss all those essential minerals.
Yeah. Something I want to do, as I was actually looking into this the other day, is get a blood test done, or like a nutrition blood test.
Yeah.
So what they can do is they can take your blood, they run some lab tests on it, and they can say exactly like what nutrients you're good at. Like you have good levels. So say you've got good vitamin A levels, you got good vitamin D level, and they can see what nutrients you're not good at. Because it's like everyone's body metabolizes nutrients differently. And so, you know, for instance, we might eat like the exact same meals. We're on the exact same meal plan, but for whatever reason, your body just can't hang on to magnesium and you're deficient in magnesium. Whereas me, we ate the same meals, maybe my body is good for magnesium, but I'm deficient in like vitamin A. And it's just like everyone's, you know, makeup, it's like your genetics and it's also like your microbiome and stuff like that. They all, you know, hold on to some nutrients well and they don't hold on to other nutrients well either.
Probably based on evolution, how your ancestors were.
Yeah, and like I think ethnically as well, like some races, you know.
That's racist, man.
It's true. Facts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like, and then basically you can get this blood test done and they can tell you exactly what, you know, what nutrients you're deficient in. And so you can be like, all right, I need to eat more of this food, or I need to eat more of that food, or I need to supplement with this supplement because I'm low in, you know, calcium or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to do that because a lot of people reckon that can be a game changer, because sometimes you might think you're okay, but you're actually not at your peak performance. And all it is, it could just be like one nutrient that you're missing. Maybe it's just magnesium, and all you need to do is take a magnesium, you know, supplement.
And you can be jacked.
And you're good. Yeah.
Fuck, I've been thinking about this. It's been a while. I've been thinking about like going to a nutritionist or get my blood test. I think we were talking about this last year even.
Probably. Yeah.
You know, and we haven't done that. Fuck. This is the problem with busy life, man. You barely get time for yourself. And sometimes I think I'm not even married yet, or I don't even have kids. I still don't have time.
Yeah.
Once I'm married or have kids, how I'm going to find time, man?
Yeah.
It's going to be so hard. And especially in Indian family, because you live together and your parents going to be living with you as well. How do you find time for everything, man? It's going to be really hard.
Yeah. I know that feeling. I kind of think about that, about like the kids thing. It's like, yeah, like if you have kids, that's kind of, yeah, that's going to take
end
up
of your life.
Yeah. I just wonder, like, obviously, you know, we're kind of in the same boat. We're trying to start small businesses and, you know, like we're obviously putting a lot of our time into that. And it's like, I do think sometimes it's like, you know, when like we do have kids, like, how am I going to keep this going? Like, I don't know.
Man, I'm telling you, at my work, even before at this, usually in life, when I see people with kids, they're always tired. They're young as fuck. They're tired, right? They barely go to the gym, right? They barely have side business. You know, all their focus is kids. They come to work, they complain about their wife or they complain about their husband. I have not seen, and this is sometimes when my parents call and ask me about marriage, I can't tell them the stories. I listen to people, how tired they are all the time. And yes, obviously you want a partner, or you want a wife, or you want a husband in your life. But then you see the end goal through other people, how their life is. And you feel like, do I want this? Like, I have freedom now. You know, do I want that? Like being tired and not being able to put hours in my podcast, you know. And I barely have time now for podcast with all the things going on. You know, how I'm going to find time for this podcast? You have your beekeeping business, you know, and you're married. Yes, you're putting time in because she helps you in your beekeeping business. Or once you have kids, how are you going to find time? How are you going to manage job and your business together?
Yeah, it's hard, eh?
How's your business going anyway?
Yeah, it's good. Oh, this is, so I don't know. I think this is a normal thing. I'd like to get your opinion on this, but like was it last week or the week before? I don't know. Like I don't know, because we kind of started our little businesses around the same time. And like when you start something new, you're like, oh, this is amazing. You know, I'm like going to put all my time and effort into this, and it's going to be like massive by like, you know, I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to make my millions off this. I don't know. Like recently I've kind of definitely felt like I'm in a bit of a slump, or like in a bit of a plateau where it's just like, you know, it's kind of like you're working and you're like putting all this time and effort into it, and you're not selling as much, or you're not making as much money as you want, or it's not taking off how you thought it was. And I don't know, I've definitely had a bit of like motivation issues.
Doubts.
Doubts. And yeah, kind of it's like, so obviously we both have full-time jobs and then we devote a bit of time to our businesses on the outside, and it's like, is this not going to go anywhere to the point where am I better off just like getting rid of it and just focusing more on my full-time job and just, upskilling or getting a better full-time job and just devoting myself to that?
You know the clip I've sent you? One day I'll send you that clip. Okay. If you keep on trying and you keep putting in the hours in the thing or the craft you're doing, you might get successful, you might not. It's 50-50 chance. But if you do not try, you're going to get fail 100% for sure. So I have those things as well. I have doubts. Okay, this podcast. But the thing is, the podcast was not only for me money-wise. It has given me so much here. You have no idea, man. Like, it has given me a lot of confidence. It has given me mannerism to talk to people. And sometimes I do receive really nice messages from people like, you know what, your podcast is so amazing, man, but you just don't get the views for some reason. It's been a while, you don't get the views. And I don't know how do I explain it to them? I always answer like, okay, it's going to take some time, but it'll get there when it get there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't seek that, like, I just need like 100K views or 200K views like this. All the successful people I've seen, they have put in like 6, 7, 8 years easily into their craft. And all of a sudden it's just boom. You know that slingshot? I have this theory in my head when I think about these kind of things. Like, I'm still pulling it. And when God decides to release it, more I had the tension on, the farther it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Like some of the YouTube channels I see, they have like really nice views, like 100K, 200K, 300K, easy. But when I listen to them and when I see their content, it's like they have done nothing in the video. They're talking about the same shit. That I feel like their slingshot is like this. Book. Like easy view. They are just triggering.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I'm just gonna keep pulling. I'm gonna keep pulling and see when it gets released, it's gonna go further away. I think I'm trying to focus on a lot of topics. I don't have a niche, so I'm just gonna keep on going. It is not just for the views or for the money. It is for my own development. I read a lot because of the podcast. I listen to a lot of people because of the podcast. And I get to challenge myself every day. I get to work on myself. And it has given me a lot. Like this new job, the confidence I have, man, when I talk to people, man. Probably if you had talked to me 3 or 4 years back, I was barely talkative, I would say, if that's a word. I would be like, yeah, okay, just leave me in my room and my laptop. I'm going to watch movies all day. But now I feel like if I'm not writing or studying something, I feel like I'm not doing anything. So it's kind of like a push for me, So that's what I have from me. I think you should feel the same. I understand. Yeah. Like it's not going to happen overnight.
Nah.
But
I think something that I try to remind myself about is like, and obviously, I think this is natural. Like we always like to look at the end. So for me, I was like starting my business, and I was like, oh yeah, full-time job, doing this full-time, millions. You're making money, and you've got it's all finished. It's all like you've got there, you've hit the end goal. But I think sometimes it's like you gotta like just now, even like though we're small, like like me, I might sell like a few jars of honey a week or something, or whatever it is, something very small, and it's I think sometimes you just have to enjoy that phase because like every kind of endeavor, no matter what it is, if it's business or sports or, intellectual, like you kind of have to, start small. And like you're saying, you got to work your way up, but you may as well enjoy being small and not selling much honey and just kind of starting out and learning and making mistakes. And I think that's important as well, is just enjoy kind of the beginning phase.
Yeah. Back in India, so the place I come from, getting an office job
in my village especially, or even in my city, getting a really nice office job, a computer in front of you is considered, oh wow, he or she has made it in their life. So back in India, I was so scared of my classmates, in the sense like they're gonna make it, but nobody's gonna give me any job, man. That was the fear I have. In my school, a lot of the kids, probably all of the kids in my class, they were from a city. I was the only child in my classroom from a village. And we have these special schools. We call them kind of military schools. The kids, because military personnel, they have a lot of transfers. And every time they transfer, to get admission in a school was a struggle. So what government of India has done, they have these really nice schools in almost every city of India. So they are like government funded school, and they are run by military kind of. And only kids from military kids basically have admission. The standard of the school is quite high. And to make it in that school, for me, it was kind of like a miracle, because they had a seat available and I got in somehow. So all those kids, they were like officers, kids, like all their fathers or mother, they were officers in army, right? And they had all knowledge and they had it all figured out what they're going to do after school. And me coming from a farming background, I was like, fuck, they have everything figured out what they're going to do. And Indian parents are like, okay, you're going to be doctor, you're going to be teacher, you're going to be pilot, you're going to be this and this. They already knew what they're going to be doing. And being an accountant is a big thing. And then people were like, oh, I'm going to be an accountant. And when they would ask me, what are you going to be doing? I was like, I have no fucking idea. Because I think it also comes from your parents. And my parents are farmers. So they're like, we don't know what you're going to be doing. You have to figure it out by yourself. So reason I'm sharing this story, at that point of time, getting an office job, it was like unfathomable. I can't get it.
Yeah.
And now I have what I always dreamed about. I'm probably better than those kids in my classroom. And when I look back, I think, fuck, I just wasted all that time just thinking, what's going to happen to me? I'm fine. I have a good job. I have all the tech things I wanted. I have all the gadgets I dreamed about. I have my own apartment, kind of. I have my own car. I can buy watches. So all that time I was thinking, fuck, what's going to happen to me? It turned out all right. I think the same thing we are going through now, thinking, fuck, we're never going to make it in the business. Probably 10 years, 20 years down the line, we will be like, fuck, we should have enjoyed that time, man. That job we should have enjoyed. We didn't have any kids. We didn't have any obligations. But we were just thinking about the business and getting paranoid for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it is very important to just enjoy like each step along the path. And I think at the end of the day, like one thing I think of is like sometimes, like I like come home and I like to put a bit of time towards the business, whatever that is, if it's making a video for like social media, or it's, getting some bee equipment ready. But it's like, sometimes I come home and I'm just like, had a big day and it's just like, I don't want to spend any time doing this tonight. And like, you kind of feel a bit guilty, but then at the same time, like, I'm sure there's so many people out there that have big plans to start businesses and they go really hard for a month and then it declines, or they go really hard for 2 months and then they stop, or who knows, maybe they go really hard for like 2 or 3 years and they get quite far, but then eventually that motivation burns out. And I think like ultimately being consistent and just doing a little bit each day, whether even if it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes each, or over a long period of time, that's going to add up. That's going to, like, doing a little bit for like 5 years is going to take you way further than going hardcore for like a year.
Yeah. Consistency is the key, basically.
Yeah.
You keep on trying every day. Like Kevin Hart, I was listening to, and he was like, it's not easy, like doing something and not getting successful and waking up next morning and knowing most likely you'll fail again and putting few more hours in that craft, you know, and then ending the day thinking, oh, you know, tomorrow I have to do this again. Again thinking that most likely you're going to fail. It's not easy.
No.
That's why many people fail. And it's not that I haven't decided like quitting my full-time job and thinking, oh, you know, this is what I'm going to do all the time. Because you listen to those social media influencers like, oh, quit your job, you know, just focus on your craft.
Yeah.
And probably 1 or 2 out of 100 people make it. A lot of people fail on both of their crafts. They fail at their full-time job and they also fail at their craft, what they're trying to do. Because there are other people who are working harder than you. You know, they're going to make it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the key is, keep on doing probably 2 or 3 hours, you know, on your craft and also focus on your full-time job.
Yeah.
So in beekeeping business, how many hours you spend, let's say, a week or a month?
Depends. I mean, yeah, like I say, like sometimes, you know, I'll put in a lot of time on a weekly basis, and then sometimes it's just, you know, I just feel a bit burnt out and it's like, you know what, I'm not going to do a lot. But I don't know, like usually every night, no, I say every night, maybe like 5 nights a week, I try to do something. So that something can be like maybe sometimes if I'm like really into something like, you know, AI, those AI images and making videos with AI I was talking about. I remember like that week I was going hard like every day. I was like, because I was so into it, I was like 2 hours. But then, you know, sometimes it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna, you know, like, you know, put together some honey, like, you know, just put some labels on some honey, and it might take me like 20 minutes. It's not, I'm not always consistent, but 3 hours a week or something like that.
Yeah. Do you still, apart from the digital side of things, apart from the social media thing, in actual beekeeping business, do you still sometimes get fascinated by the bees? Do you still find something new they do and you are like, wow, I did not see it before. Like now I'm seeing it. Bees do this thing in this way. Do you still figure out new things about bees?
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is like, as a beekeeper, like as the name suggests, like you're keeping the bees, like you're kind of, and I think like, especially when you start, or especially when I started, I was like, oh, you know, I'm telling the bees what to do, and they're alive and they're making all this honey because of me, because I'm coming in and interfering, and I'm, you know, putting this frame here, or I'm putting, you know, this box in this position. It's all because of me. But then I think over time, I've just realized like, oh, actually, like I don't really do anything. I just kind of do a little bit here and there, and the bees just do it all. And I think that's a big learning thing for me, is that ultimately as a beekeeper, I don't think that you should really be in control. I think you need to let your bees be in control and just step back. Like ultimately bees have been here for millions of years, way longer than, you know, us modern humans. So I think like that's one thing that I'm trying to like figure out, is like do more by doing less. And I think that's huge in beekeeping. The more you tamper, maybe it's like a good like analogy for life, but it's like the more you tamper and the more you kind of try get involved and think you know how to do things, generally speaking, the worse your bees do. Like the more you can just like step back and just let them do what they do, you tend to have better hives, healthier hives, you get more honey, you just get just general better beekeeping.
Yeah.
So that's something for me. It's like, yeah, it's just like doing more with doing less.
Yeah. Have you experimented with honey? Like what kind of end product you want?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of that. So that's kind of something I'm working on now, is like honey is good. Like we all like honey, but one thing I'm trying to work out is like, what can I do with honey that's a little bit more than just honey in a jar? And that's like what I've been doing a lot over winter, is like experimenting with like different kind of like ways to eat honey, or different, you know, products I can make with honey. Because I mean, like, I think ultimately a lot of beekeepers will like produce honey, and they tend just to, that's as far as they go. They have this honey, here you go, you know, you buy it off me, you know, everyone's happy. But I think one thing I want to try to do is like take that honey and like do something with it, you know, like turn it into another product, or like make something with that honey.
Last time you were working on something.
Yeah.
So has that trial been successful, or what's happening to that? What was that to start with? What was that?
It's secret. It's trade secret. I can't give it away yet.
Yeah.
Still working on it. I've had a few roadblocks. Like I'm not quite happy with what the final product came to be. But it's still like in the works, so I'm still kind of working on it. But like I think when I showed it to you, it still wasn't quite there. And I've been tinkering with it quite a lot, but it's still not quite there. So I've kind of been working on that, but trying to do some other things as well, like some other things to do with honey. So yeah, that's kind of been my winter job at the moment, being like, you know, winter and you're obviously not beekeeping as much.
Yeah, you see it as one business, but somehow I see that you are going towards a second business. When I see you, I don't see, okay, the guy who's doing beekeeping business. When I see you, I feel like the guy who's running 1.5 business. So one business is your beekeeping business. I think the second thing you're starting, which is kind of branching out from your beekeeping business, is social media platform. You know, so I think you are making some nice videos and you are kind of commentating in the background what bees are doing.
Yeah.
Have you tried, like, there has to be so many functions bees do. Like bees are mating, let's say. Bees are fighting. Bees are just talking to or communicating to each other. So have you tried like making those videos and commenting in the background, see bees are doing this, see bees are doing that? Have you tried?
I think with bees, there's like kind of a cool thing about it is that there's unlimited topics within beekeeping. Like literally unlimited topics, because like even if I wanted to, I couldn't make videos covering all the different topics. So I think like it's kind of good in that sense, because like you're saying, like for me, I've got like my bee business, and then I'm trying to do like a little kind of food production business, you know, taking honey, making foods out of it. And I've kind of got the online social media side of it.
3 businesses then.
Kind of,
yeah.
3 small businesses. Yeah. But it's like, I mean, like the cool thing about bees, it's just like unlimited content. Like literally I could like go to my beehives and just like film, and I could just like make, you know, video after video, like this is a male bee, this is a queen bee, these are bees fighting, this is a wasp trying to invade a beehive, this is honey, this is pollen, this is XYZ. So it's like, I think like one thing I'm kind of lucky in that is like some kind of industries, it's like there's always that search, like, oh, I need more content, like what am I gonna do, like, you know. But I think with beekeeping, it's like there's such like advanced into like creatures, and there's like they're not just one creature. Like I almost think of a beehive as like it's like an organism in itself. Like we think of bees as like, oh, individual bees, and you know, you get like 50,000 of them, and that's a beehive. But really the way to look at it is like a beehive, or what you call a colony, so the group of bees, it's almost like a little animal or like an organism in and of itself, because it kind of behaves like an organism. It's almost like every bee is just like acting towards some greater good, you know?
Yeah.
Like bees will like sacrifice themselves, kill themselves for like, you know, the long-term survival of the colony.
You reckon humans are like that as well? If you just zoom out a bit and see humans are working, or the colonies of humans are working to achieve one goal, and people do stupid things just to make sure their tribe survives.
Having studied bees and having studied humans, I just don't think we're anywhere near the same level of cohesion as a bee, or like our purposes are not like aligned. Like the purpose of a bee colony is pretty simple. It's just the whole, like the survival of the colony. But I mean, I think, and that's ultimately all they do. Like, you know, it's just all about the colony, the one colony surviving and being able to grow and keep surviving. I think humans, we're kind of like that maybe on like a smaller level.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately on like a global scale, we're too fractured. We're kind of like, maybe you could see of us as like a bunch of different colonies. So like, I mean, maybe probably the most obvious difference is like, maybe it's like a country basis. Like, you know, Americans are all like, America, you know, like they're all, you know, they're all kind of their own little colony. And then like China is all like, you know, we're our colony. And I think that's maybe a little bit more where the parallel lies.
I think I kind of opposed to that point. I feel like we have ultimately we have one goal of just you can say evolution, in the sense that we are working towards, even though we have our own biases, our own greed or jealousy, or our own small goals, but ultimately we are progressing in same direction. It could be science, or could be advancement of human, because we do share all the technology. If America comes out with the technology, let's say Elon Musk or Biden or Trump, they figure out a new technology, it's gonna get shared. Like everybody has phones now, everybody's now working towards embedding this technology. Like I say, computer used to be probably 5-6 rooms, that big, and it would only perform a simple calculation. Now we have laptops, then we have supercomputer, your phone in your pocket, and then slowly you have a watch, and then probably in 2-3 years you're gonna have glasses, and then you're gonna have a lens, and then Neuralink in your head. So I think greater good or greater goal of us is embedding ourselves with the technology. So I think ultimately that is the goal. It's just evolution. Which branch of evolution we take, I think ultimately we are deciding.
Kind of on the topic of like global cohesion, do you know what the BRICS nations are?
Yes, India,
Brazil.
Brazil. No, not Brazil.
Brazil,
Russia, India, Canada.
No, China.
China, sorry. As South Africa.
Yeah. So have you heard about like kind of how they're looking at like starting their own currency?
Yes.
So the BRICS currency, and it's like for all their trade agreement, and they reckon it's gonna be a big devastating hit to the US dollar.
It has to happen. It's gonna happen for sure. And if you see the development of Russia, China, and India, if they are in one side, which they are, and America has been this guy since probably last 50-60 years, saying, okay, you know what, I'm the boss.
Oh, longer than that.
Right? I think World War II, it decided to just jump in and say, I'm the boss. Especially after atomic bomb. I'm the boss. And it just, I think, bullying all the countries. And everything is kind of around US dollar. All the economy is around US dollar.
Oh yeah, because every country trades in US dollar. Like it's really been like perfect for America. Like they've pretty much like every country, like you're in China and you're selling to India, as far as I know, they all trade through the US dollar. So the Americans are saying, pay with our money.
And if America decides today, which they do all the time, that we're going to put sanction in that country or on that country, and the country is fucked because everything has to go through US dollar, right? They have done that with Russia many, many times. And now we are realizing we are quite dependent on Russia after Ukraine war on petrol and wheat, right? We are dependent quite a lot on Russia, right? If you talk about China, a lot of the things almost everything comes from China, man. And India is now we have landed our, mooncraft on moon. Have you?
The India space program.
Yeah. So we are doing that. And India, like even the last podcast I was talking about, like India somehow managed itself to be independent of all the other countries. If today some country decides, okay, fuck India, we don't care because we have self-sustained ourselves. And we have a good relationship with Russia, and the food and tech or missiles or jets or whatever comes from Russia, and we can supply so many things. And Russia, China, and India, they are probably top 5 countries they come in. So it's I think America, top 5 countries: America, China. Third is probably Russia, I want to say.
You talking about like GDP
wise, or top economy wise?
I think it goes America, China,
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
Japan's got a very big economy. And then I think maybe, I know like kind of France and England
Mhm.
and Germany have quite big economies. And I know India's probably in that mix somewhere.
Indians.
Yeah.
I think we have made it to top 5, I guess.
Mm.
India. So if today India and China, Russia decides we're gonna do that, I know the transition period's gonna be hard.
Take a long time.
It's gonna take a long time, and it might be struggling for all the normal people, because when the transition happens, it's never good. You know, because the systems are set up. You know, some again, I do not understand economy that much, but some currencies might crash. New Zealand might crash because because people have to choose sides. Then you know, they go US dollar or they go BRICS dollar.
BRICS dollar.
You know,
Yeah.
so when that happens, it's ugly.
Yeah.
So even a BRIC decides, again, I am not the master on this. Even a BRIC decides we're gonna start our own thing. They have to not do it aggressively with America. They have to somehow figure out a way. How do we do this? And they have to give both of the options to the other countries. Okay, you can trade in both of the. If they decide, okay, you have to choose one, that's gonna be ugly. I feel like.
Yeah. But it's kind of like it was always the G. You know what the G7 countries are? So the G7.
Canada, France.
Yep. America, Canada, France, England. I think like Germany and Italy's in there.
Yeah.
Maybe Japan. So yeah, it's like 7 of the biggest kind of economies that are aligned with US, and basically this whole BRICS organization. It's like the other version, but kind of. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's right to think of it as like America versus BRICS or whatever, but it's kind of like another big like economic super powerhouse of like countries all coming together, and they're open to like people coming in. So they might say, oh, whatever country, like, do you can join BRICS and you can use our currency and you can have free trade agreements with us.
I think G7 is fucked anyway. I think Canada is fucked now. I feel like they have ruined their kids. I feel like, and me been to Canada. I don't know. I didn't get a good vibe how people feel about Justin Trudeau. And if Trudeau decides the vote's never going to happen, it will never happen. You know that, right?
No.
That you know how every country has like 5-year transition period?
Election cycle.
Yeah. They don't have that.
Really?
Yeah. So if Trudeau wants to keep on running, he can keep on running. That guy who's supporting Trudeau, if he withdraws his support from Trudeau government, and then election might happen. If they, the Sardar guy, Sardar, what Sardar is?
Oh, the Indian guy?
The Indian fella?
Yeah.
So they are running Canada together, kind of.
Oh.
If they stay together, the votes might not happen ever. So Trudeau can be a dictator.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard like a lot of like anti-Trudeau sentiment kind of starting to like rise up. Like, I don't know, for a long time it was just like you didn't hear much of this, but I think like post-COVID, post just like the state Canada's in, it seems like that sentiment of like disliking Justin Trudeau is definitely on the rise.
He's getting divorced.
Is he?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yeah, so you know how he leans toward LGBTQ a lot? So they're saying like he's gay or something.
Oh, probably.
I think when you are that rich, I think this is a good theory to say.
Yeah.
For example, I've heard a lot of rich guy talking about this thing. Okay, so when you're poor, nobody's paying attention to you, right? So you just want to get a girl who you can have sex with. You look for a girlfriend or you look for a wife or whatever. When you're successful or you're millionaire, girls chase you. Obviously, they chase success. And then you can have as many girls you want. You have your twosome, threesome, or orgies, which rich people have. And once you keep on having that, I think you need something more to stimulate your brain. And all those rich people, I think they have orgy parties and they have threesome with the probably same sex. I think when you are
Trudeau level rich or you have that much power, I think normal relationship doesn't work for you.
You get a bit gay.
You get a bit gay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what happens to you.
Happens to the best of us. We get a bit gay. Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening to him,
Mm.
and he's in power. I don't know since when. It's been a while. I think more than 5 years, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's been like a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's leaning towards LGBTQ, because he feels their pain. He craves what they crave, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, G7 is fucked anyway. So Canada is gone. I don't know. I'm not liking Canada for some reason.
Yeah.
I have, I don't know.
What was the vibe that you got when you traveled there?
Okay. One incident I'll explain. And then I'll go back to Canada. So one of my friend moved from Canada to Australia last month, right? And really good family friend, and my family is in Australia. So they, a couple, my friends, they went to see my family. You know, they went for dinner, and my family asked them, you know, how are you finding Australia? And they replied, you know, everything seemed so fake here. And my family was like, fake? What do you mean everything seems so fake here? They're like, everything is, you know, it's like a movie set. Like everything is so clean. Everything is so colorful. So this is the people who moved from Canada to Australia. So normal Australia is looking so clean to them. Imagine how Canada they must have seen.
Oh, okay.
Right? When I saw Canada, so when I went there, it was all snow. The roads, I felt not clean enough. And that guy or that family friend of mine, they have seen Australia. If they come to New Zealand, they're going to go bonkers how beautiful New Zealand is. Right? So Canada, I felt like roads are just not colorful like how we have, like lines, white lines, yellow lines. You know, it's just quite visual. Over there, probably due to the snow. And even the nature was, it just all white. Mountains and snow. And I don't know. It just wasn't for me, I guess. And their ideologies, they do not have freedom of speech. You know that, right? They don't have freedom of speech. They can dictate you what to say. That's what Jordan Peterson's thing was about.
Yeah.
Like they can actually dictate you what to say, what not to say. And when I talk about G7, then we have France. A lot of protests are happening there.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come to America.
America.
Fuck you. America is kind of fucked. You know how they are divided, and I think TikTok being a big part of their new generation. I think the new generation is fucked. I think they cannot think for themselves. So even if America is top dog today, in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, they're not going to be, because they're new eggs or the new generation. They can't think. The Gen Z is fucked for them.
Yeah.
I feel like. So I think at that point of time, China and India is going to thrive. Reason being, I think in your life, you have to have a certain level of trauma or certain level of poverty. If you are entitled to start with, if you do not have enough trauma, you're not going to get successful. If you see a lot of billionaires, they had some sort of trauma in their life. So when I talk about India, even when I talk about me, how my life was back in India, not enough electricity, no internet, no cable TV, that played a bit role in my life to push me where I am today, which is fine as compared to Indian life, right? So I think all the poor people in India now, they are suffering through trauma, and they're gonna be, I feel like, because TikTok is banned as well, and they do not feel entitled. I think those people are gonna be quite successful because they have the right amount of trauma. And then you talk about China, their TikTok is different than the normal TikTok, where they do not see big boobs or big butts on TikTok. They see relevant videos like science videos and good videos, engineering videos. And I think
their kids gonna be smarter as well. And probably in 20, 30 years down the line, those two countries gonna rule.
Until AI comes and rules us all.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that's a saving grace. I guess to wrap it up on a good note, I wonder if like it's getting fucked, but then somehow, I don't know, some like AI god or quantum computer god just like, all right, this is what you do. Here's the right answer. This is what you do. This is what humanity does.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the way I see these things, in Hinduism or even Sikhism, we talk about Kalyug.
Yeah, Kalyug. Yeah.
Yeah. So which is happening now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we say this is the peak of Kalyug.
I remember reading I don't know what book it's from or what scripture, but they kind of talk about the characteristics of Kala Yuga. Like, you know, like people are going to be like so divided and like people are going to like
Bhagavad Gita.
Is that the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary like how accurate they like lay out the Kala Yuga and then how much that kind of relates to today's world. Can't remember everything, but I just remember reading that being like, Jesus, this is life. Like this is daily life.
And they say when Kali Yuga ends, it's going to restart again from Sat Yuga, which is a good yug or good time or good era. So when I do my interpretation on this, that means we are really close to the end. Either we're going to nuke ourselves or like you said, AI is going to take over and take out our humanity. Or it can be like we take out, like when we talk about restarting, that does not mean we have to start from the caves again. That means this ends. What is the new thing we do not know? Like we take out the humanity part from our brain. We take out all the emotions, all the bad emotions, and all we have is just probably a chip in and just blissful. We don't have jealousy anymore. We are just happy all the time. We are having orgasms all the time. You know, I think when that happens, that could be end of Kali Yuga, or AI is like, you know, fuck these guys.
I was listening to like quite an interesting talk the other day on Buddhism, and the guy was talking about how in Buddhist like cosmology or like, you know, Buddhist kind of philosophy, it's considered like a great honor to be born a human, and like especially a human now, because like being a human now, it's like the right amount of like suffering to kind of figure out kind of the game, like what's you know that like what's going on, like the right amount of suffering to know that, you know, we need to end the suffering, which is essentially what Buddhism is all about. And it's like, you know, like they talk in like Buddha's cosmology, they talk about like heavenly realms where everything's like amazing. It's like, you know, what you're describing, like heavenly and everything's like perfect. But like the problem with that is there's only a tiny bit of suffering and it's like barely enough to like actually do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then like similarly they talk about like the hell realms when it's like it's just like so bad. It's like you suffer so much. It's like it's not really, you're suffering too much to really work about like getting out of the game. But like something about humanity is it's like that perfect blend of suffering where like you suffered just enough, but you know, just enough to like do the work to kind of, I guess, escape the wheel of life. I thought that was really interesting. It's almost like being born today and like the world we live on, like on one hand you could be like, oh, it's all fucked, it's all, you know, falling apart. But maybe this is like the biggest blessing to be born in this timeline, because it's like the right level of suffering to get out of the game and to escape the wheel of life.
I think with suffering, we have a lot of advantages as well with this world. If we have TVs, we have internet, we have all sort of things. And I never feel like my life is not good enough. I think everybody, I do believe in yin and yang. Like if you have suffering, God will give you right amount of happiness. If you're happy, to balance it out, God will give you suffering. So if you're going through tough time, trust me, to balance it out, the happiness is coming. If you're happy all the time, trust me, other part, the sad part is coming to balance it out. So this is what I believe. Like if you are in Kali Yuga, Sati Yuga, everything is yin and yang.
Mm.
Everything is balanced.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
should we wrap this bitch up?
Let's wrap this bitch up. 1.5 hours.
That goes so fast, eh?
Yeah, it's really fast.
I remember like looking over just like before and I was like, whoa, an hour and a half. Holy shit. Mm.
I think next time when we do it,
Yeah.
we have to have whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And fuck, I really want to do cigars, man. I haven't done it.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We probably can't smoke cigars in here, eh?
Oh, yeah, probably can't.
Nah.
But we can definitely do whiskey.
Yeah, do whiskey. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up and we'll see you guys probably next time. Thank you. Bye.
America.
Fuck yeah. Okay.